I'll be presenting the comparison of lifestyles between healthy university students and students with depression in Malaysia. So our co-authors are Prof. Salmi Razali and Dr. Nur Hidayah Jaris, also from Malaysia, and Muhammad Anwar Fuadi from the University of Indonesia. So moving on to the background of this study, the World Health Organization in 2023 estimated that depression affected at least 280 million people globally. And according to a study by Kamaruzzaman et al. In 2024, the prevalence of depression, anxiety, and stress amongst university students were approximately 25% to 71%. And the causes for these, the depression, anxiety, and stress were usually from multiple factors, but the study that our study actually focused on the modifiable factors, which were the lifestyle factors. So our study actually aimed to investigate the prevalence of depression amongst university students in Malaysia, and also to compare if there were any significant differences in lifestyles among depressed university students and also healthy university students in Malaysia. So on reviewing the literature regarding factors impacting mental well-being of university students, studies have found that physical inactivity is linked to lower levels of engagement in exercise, further perpetuating depressive symptoms like fatigue and lack of motivation. So this causes a vicious cycle. When students do not engage in regular exercise, they may experience worsening depression, which in turn reduce their motivation to be active, leading to further decline in their mental health. Other studies found that university students face stress from academic responsibilities, social expectations, and financial constraints. So according to these studies, this leads to unhealthy eating behaviors, poor eating habits, such as skipping meals, consuming excessive caffeine, and engaging in social eating, which can negatively affect their mental health. Regarding the use of the role of internet in university students, it can be both a help and a hinder towards their mental health, according to previous studies. So studies have found that internet facilitates learning for university students and can expand their digital literacy and skills and increase their access to mental health support or therapy. However, there are also some studies that found that excessive internet use, especially on social media, can lead to reduced productivity, increased comparison, and fears of missing out, and anxiety among university students. So according to another study, university students reported also becoming victims of scams, identity theft, and cyberbullying on the internet. Regarding sleep issues, studies have found that sleep quality was affected in university students due to late night study sessions, social activities, part-time jobs, leisure activities, internet browsing, and poor environmental conditions, such as noise, uncomfortable bedding, and also poor lighting. Okay, so on reviewing the literature, we also found the research gap where there is a lack of local studies in Malaysia that actually compare the lifestyles or investigate the differences in lifestyles between healthy university students and also depressed university students. So our study design was actually a cross-sectional study using a convenient sampling method. We calculated the sample size using the population proportion formula of 30%. This is based on a previous local study by Ashraful Islam in 2018 that indicated the prevalence of depression among university students in Malaysia was about 30%. So taking this prevalence proportion, 0.3, the probability of type 1 error of 0.05, estimated effect size 2.5, and the desired level of absolute precision at 0.05. The initial actually calculated sample size was 807. However, we considered a 10% incomplete data, and the final estimated sample size was 887 participants. So our inclusion criteria were all university students in Malaysia, studying in Malaysia, who had consented to join the study, who were 18 years and above, at least 18 years of age and above, and who were also English and Malay literate to mitigate the use of the questionnaires. So the data collection methods were actually done via an online survey made using Google Forms, where all the questionnaires were digitalized into the Google Form. And this Google Form was disseminated through emails, WhatsApp, and social media platforms. The participant information sheet was also included in this Google Form, as well as the implied consent when the participants actually agreed to answer the questions. So this study actually received approval from the University Research Ethics Committee. So the measurement tools that we used to investigate socio-demographic factors and also living conditions, we used a pro forma form. It's just a survey form, a key that we used to gather the participants' gender, age, field of studies, home area, number of people in the household, number of siblings, number of people living together in the residential college, and number of close friends. So for depression, we used a validated tool, the Center for Epidemiological Studies Depression Tool, CEST. It is valid, it's reliable, and has been used in Malaysia. It's a 20-item tool with continuous scores from 0 to 60. And based on a previous study done in Malaysia by Ghazali et al. In 2014, using this tool, we use a cutoff score of 27 and more to signify, to reflect depression, as in the previous study that was used among adolescents and young people in Malaysia. So to compare or to investigate regarding lifestyle factors, we also use a pro forma survey form. In the form, the items are presented or scored in a Likert scale from 0 to 4, and investigated the physical activities, eating habits, internet and social media use, sleeping patterns, and also religious activities of the university students. So this is just an overview of the results. I will show the tables later. Okay, so a total of 853 students, university students from all over Malaysia, actually answered and completed all the questionnaires. And among this sample, the prevalence of depression was 24.7%, or 211 students. And out of the depressed students, 28.9%, or 61 of them, had a history of mental illness. So we actually compared gender, age, home residential area, number of people living together at home and also at the residential college, number of siblings. We actually compared these two for both of the groups of university students with and without depression, and we found no significant differences between the two groups, as you can see here. And for the depressed students group, we found significantly lower physical activities, poorer diet, and significantly higher use of internet, and also significantly poorer sleep quality when compared to the not depressed or to the healthy university students. So as you can see in table 2, that compares the differences in the lifestyles between the students with and without depression. There is significantly among the group of students that are not depressed or healthy students, there are significantly higher mean scores for exercise helping to prevent anxiety, exercise importance during study, and also increase in physical activities during study period. Also, for healthy diet and eating habits, the not depressed students scored significantly higher than the depressed students. However, for internet and social media use, browsing the internet more than usual and using social media while at home or in the room alone, the depressed students scored significantly higher than the not depressed students. And for sleeping patterns, the depressed students showed significantly poorer sleeping patterns than the not depressed, where they had a reduced quality of sleep during the study period and a higher tendency to sleep more during daytime, and take more of the depressed students took sleeping pills to sleep. However, with regards to spirituality and religious activities, we found no significant differences between the two groups. So moving on to our discussion. So our study basically found that lifestyle factors play a substantial role in depression among university students. Previous studies have shown that reduced physical activity can be due to common depressive symptoms such as fatigue, lack of motivation, and decreased energy levels. This then discourages the participation in exercise. So other studies have found that regular physical activity can provide protective effects and enhance neurogenesis, increase endorphin production, and reduce stress. Also, for university students, usually the high academic pressure can cause them to prioritize studying over exercise. For poor dietary habits, previous studies show that that university students have higher tendency for unhealthy foods, irregular eating patterns, and these poor dietary habits linked with mental health issues. Students with depression may use food as a coping mechanism. They may indulge in emotional eating. There may be weight fluctuations and worsening psychological distress as an effect of this. So other studies have shown that diets rich in processed foods, refined sugars, and high fat content can cause inflammation and oxidative stress, leading to depressive symptoms themselves. And balanced diets with omega-3 fatty acids, vitamins, and antioxidants can improve mental well-being. So studies have also shown that excessive internet and social media use can cause social withdrawal, increased loneliness, maladaptive comparison behaviors, low self-esteem, emotional distress, and heightened anxiety and depression. Also, procrastination, poor academic performance, and social isolation due to the increased internet use. And compulsive social media use can cause disrupted sleep patterns, leading to subsequent poor academic performance. For poor sleep hygiene, it can be both a cause and a consequence of depression, where studies have shown that poor sleep hygiene, irregular sleep schedules, high academic demands, social commitments, and nighttime internet use will lead to poor sleep quality, disruptions in the circadian rhythm, impair their cognitive functions and emotional regulation, and contribute to depressive symptoms in university students. So the suggested interventions based on previous studies as well would be structured exercise programs integrated into university mental health initiatives to encourage physical activity among the students, nutrition education, and campus-wide initiatives that promote healthier food choices to mitigate depression risk among students. Okay, digital wellness programs that promote responsible internet use and encourage face-to-face social interactions, as well as sleep hygiene programs integrated into university support services. The limitations that we discussed for our study would be the cross-sectional design, which can actually restrict the causal relationship between lifestyle factors and depression. The convenient sampling method that may not fully represent the broader population of university students in Malaysia, thereby limiting actually the generalizability of the study's conclusions. self-reported data may introduce response and recall bias, potentially affecting the accuracy and reliability of the results. So other influencing factors such as economic background of the students, academic stress, and coping mechanisms were not actually assessed in the study. Depression among university students, we also identified modifiable risk factors, which are exercise, diet, sleep, and internet use. And the recommendations were for the need for targeted mental health interventions among university students, and to have informed university policies to support students' well-being. And for future research recommendations, we suggest longitudinal studies to show more of a causal effect, and to use possibly to use more objective measures. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Iman. That was a very interesting study that you conducted, and you seem to a very relevant issue, also depression among the university students. Now, before I comment, I would like to open the discussion from the audience. If there is anyone in the audience, either online or in person, who would want to make any comments or ask any questions from Dr. Iman. Is there anyone? No, doesn't look like there is anyone going to raise any questions, but I have a small question, actually speaking. You've done a very comprehensive study about the causality of depression among the university students, and it was a bit surprising for me to notice that despite the fact that these are university students, the academic part of their life did not seem to play a major role in the production of this depression, except you said that the academic demands might prevent them from being involved in more physical exercise. So that's a very direct influence. We would have imagined that, actually speaking, the depression would come from the fact that academic tasks are difficult and unachievable and complex, and so on and so forth. But most of the things seem to be coming from a lack of sleeping and overuse of internet facilities, and things that are not really relevant to a university student as such. So why do you think that the actual academic involvement is not really a significant part of the depression?
I do think that academic stress or academic involvement is a significant part of depression. I think there have been some studies that have shown that as well. I think for our study, we focused on factors that were more modifiable. So we wanted to focus more on the lifestyle of the university students rather than the academic effects.
But lifestyle, academic is also part of lifestyle, isn't it? I mean, it's not only just eating and sleeping.
Yes.
Right. Anyway, so yeah. So your suggestion is that the students must change their lifestyles in terms of sleeping more time and not visiting internet sites more often, and so on and so forth. But those are not things, because at the end of the day, you made the recommendation to the university, but the university can do nothing about those lifestyles. They are personal, isn't individual and personal. The university cannot do anything about whether a student sleeps more or less. How can the university do that?
Yes, but that's why we recommend that they have mental health workshops or programs for the university students to actually elaborate more, teach or educate them on the need for good sleep hygiene, good dietary habits, and also for regular exercise.
Okay, I get it. So you're saying university can be involved in raising awareness.
Yes.
All right. Okay, thank you very much for this very interesting study. We look forward to see how further studies would contribute to this idea of depression, which is a very serious issue. Like you said, 25% of students are suffering. Thank you very much. I think our time is time is running out. So let's move on to the next presenter, Dr. Siti 007. Stage is yours.
Assalamualaikum.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Prof. Shall I share my screen? Okay. I hope everyone can see my slide.
Yes, carry on.
Yeah, your slides are visible. Your slides are visible.
Okay,
Please go
thank you
ahead.
so
Mute
much.
yourself. 10 minutes. 10 minutes of presentation, please.
Okay, so Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and very good day to everyone. I am Siti Aisyah Ismail and I am pleased to present our study titled Knowledge and Attitudes Among Students Towards Post-Stroke with Hemianopia. This research is a collaborative effort between Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, Management Science University, and also Binalita Sudama Medan, Indonesia. So as an introduction, stroke is a major cause of disability worldwide. However, when it comes to recovery, most awareness campaigns tend to focus on motor rehabilitation. And these visual complications like hemianopia are often overlooked. Hemianopia is the loss of half of the visual field and significantly can affect a person's ability to read, to drive, to move around safely. Yet, this awareness and understanding of this condition, especially among future healthcare professionals, the young generations, are remain limited. The objective of this study, there are three. Number one is to assess students' knowledge and awareness of stroke and hemianopia, and then to evaluate their attitudes towards post-stroke patients with vision loss, and then to identify educational gaps that need to be addressed in the health education, especially about the awareness and misconceptions among the future generation about this stroke. A bit about background. From neurological perspective, hemianopia occurs due to damage in the optic way, particularly in the lateral geniculated body, which often causes by the stroke. So this hemianopia can appear in three types. Number one is homonymous, which the defect appears in the same site in both eyes. The heteronomous, the defect appears in different site in both eyes. And quadrantonopia is affecting the 1/4 of the visual field in both eyes. This study been received ethical approval from the Ethics Committee of Management and Science University, Malaysia. And to ensure the accuracy and appropriateness of our tool, the survey, we conducted validity and reliability testing for the questionnaire which was adapted from Tapa et al. 2016. The content validity was established through expert review involving specialists in optometries, the rehabilitation therapies, and also health education. For reliability, we performed a pilot test among 30 respondents earlier, and the compact alpha value was 0.82. So this value indicating good internal consistency. So this study, we carried out a cross-sectional survey involving 204 MSU students, which they are drawn from both health sciences background and non-health sciences background. The questionnaire was distributed using Google Form and included sections on stroke knowledge, hemianopia awareness, and attitudes towards stroke patients. All data collected was analyzed using SPSS, applying descriptive analysis and also Pearson correlation. So this is a previous study which related to this study. So this study all emphasized the urgent need to strengthen public education on stroke, particularly to correct common misconception. And so when we have the awareness, people can respond more quickly and more effective to prevent the action for stroke. Okay, we move to key finding for demographic. Majority participants are aged between 21 to 25 years old, and there were Malay, followed by Chinese, Indian, and others. About 40% personally knew about stroke patient, and just over half, 50.4%, come from health-related causes. So this gives us a balanced perspective when looking at knowledge and attitudes across the disciplines. Okay, this is the core, the findings about knowledge level. Most of the participants were aware about stroke. 96.1 had heard about it. 83.3 knew that it is affect the brain, but 74.5% believe it is contagious. And only 47.5% recognize the hemianopia as the vision problem due to stroke. In terms of attitude, over 93% emphasize family care and they know they need to send the stroke patient to emergency room for action, while 63.5% show positive attitudes towards stroke survivor, but 47 were unsure about the rehab management for the stroke. For the correlation between knowledge and attitude, we found that a weak positive correlation between knowledge and attitude with the R value 0.253. So this suggests that the simple knowledge about stroke does not necessarily improve the attitudes, actions toward the patients, because these attitudes are often shaped by emotions, culture, and prior to experience, and not just information gathered. Therefore, education programs should go beyond the fact, and they must be including emotional engagement, case-based learning, more exposure, and also myth-busting strategies. Sorry. Okay, for discussion part, why do these misconceptions still persist even though years by years have been gone? So we found that medical terminology is often complex and students have limited exposure to the post-stroke patient, especially those patients are having visual deficit. And almost all education content tend to focus on physical recovery rather than sensory impairment like this vision deficit. So this highlight the need for targeted interdisciplinary education in stroke visual complication rehabilitation. So as a conclusion, our study found that even though students are aware of stroke, but their understanding about the hemianopia is limited and the attitudes remain inconsistent. So we recommend to integrating stroke vision rehabilitation into university curriculum and develop interactive training modules and then conducting further research to test intervention strategies that can improve both knowledge and attitude. And that concludes my presentation about the study. Thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any question, please feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you very much, Ms. Aisha, for that very concise presentation about the issue of
Welcome, Prof.
stroke, post-stroke recovery, and the possibility
Hemino.
of having visual impairment, hemianopia. It's an interesting thing because this very word hemianopia is even new to me. Hemianopia, yeah. I think lots of people probably don't know this term. Like you were saying, it's complex
Yes.
jargon, medical jargon on the one hand, instead of saying it's a visual impairment of the visual field. That's what
Visual
you're saying
impairment.
it is. Yeah. And among the university's students, they are not aware of it as much as they should be, although they are familiar with the stroke. Yeah.
Stroke?
Yeah, this is a good finding, but should they be really aware of it? Because stroke is not a common happening among younger people, is it? Or is it not?
It is.
Usually it happens among middle-aged and,
Yes, Prof.
because
Nowadays, younger age have been affected by stroke because of the cholesterol level doesn't control and also the sugar level. So all that come together. So now the population of younger age having stroke keep increasing.
Right, interesting. So the university students are suffering. I mean, if they are suffering from stroke situations, then you will come across one of your friends suffered a stroke last week and so on, and they will become more familiar with it, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, interesting. So making them aware is the only possibility to, but how can you prevent it happening? I mean, how can you prevent the hemianopia happening after stroke? It is not connected to anything very specific, is it? Or is there any?
This hemianopia was happened due to stroke. Usually it happen, but we give rehabilitation from we prescribe prism in order to enhance or we want to make the visual field slightly bigger. We want to expand, but In order to do that rehabilitation, the patient should be screened first from the visual neglect. So that is my study later on for PhD.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Let's open this for discussion among anyone who is in the audience who would want to raise any questions. Is there anyone who wants to raise any questions?
Yes, it's me. Dr. Siti Aisyah. Your
Yes, okay.
code is 0.07 or 0.08?
Sorry, I can't. It's double. Sorry. My code
Can
of
you mute
article.
code of abstract? 0.07, 0.08?
0.0.
Okay, so you're the third presenter, is it? Supposedly. Supposedly.
Oh, Dr. Siti Munira.
Yeah, it's supposed to be my turn, but it's okay. Okay, je. But just to clarify with the chairperson,
Yeah.
Dr. Siti Aisyah is for the code 0.008.
Dr. Siti Munira 007.
Yeah. Please respond.
Okay, I think that's from my side. I'm so sorry.
Did you hear the question? Whether it is 0.007 or 0.008, does it make a significant difference? Does it?
Just to clarify
Does
for
it?
avoiding confusion.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Prof. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Aisha. Is there anything to respond to here? Yeah.
Okay, Prof, I will be sharing my slide now.
Are you the next presenter?
Yes, I'm supposed to be the second presenter.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's start with your presentation in this case. You are paper number 008, is it?
I'm 007.
All right. Okay. Yes, please go ahead.
Assalamualaikum, a very good afternoon to respected chairperson and fellow presenters. I am Noramira Nozmi. But before that, Prof, can you mute your audio?
Yeah.
Muted.
Okay.
I'm mute now. I'll mic again.
Okay. I will be presenting on behalf of Professor Dr. Siti Munira Yasmin from Public Health Medicine Specialist, Faculty of Medicine, University Technology Mara. I will be presenting on the validation of the Malay questionnaire for industrial preparedness of infectious diseases. The coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19 pandemic has impacted the operations and workers' health in global industries. The high rate of virus transmission was alarming, hence it is crucial to address the importance of industrial preparedness for the disease and the requirement for workplace safety measures in Malaysia. Hence, the Department of Occupational Safety and Health, Malaysia, DOSH, developed a standardized protocol for the industry to manage the transmission of COVID-19. However, the effectiveness of the protocol is influenced by the workers' comprehension and adherence to the guidelines. Hence, this study aimed to verify the Malay version of a questionnaire designed to measure the industrial preparedness for COVID-19 by employing the Content Validity Index, CVI, and Phase Validity Index, FVI method, contributing to improve workplace safety management and preparedness in Malaysia. The Content Validity Index, CVI, determines the clarity of the item ensure that the content would represent the outcome of the questionnaire, whereby the Face Validity Index, FVI, assess the understandability of the questionnaire from the respondent's perspective. For example, Bujang and colleague in 2017 validated a Malay version of a diabetes quality of life questionnaire for the Malaysian adult population with type 2 diabetes mellitus. Another study has also adapted English questionnaire and translated it into the local language. For example, by Ching and colleague in 2015, which demonstrated the effectiveness of bilingual questionnaire in psychometric properties of the smartphone addict scale. This study design is a validation study, and the sampling method employed was the non-probability sampling, which is the convenient sampling. For content validity, for face validity, 10 experts were involved from UiTM, and for the pilot study, 30 participants from the Safety and Occupational Health Committee. The study was approved by University Technology Mara UiTM Committee, and the validation study was approved by the experts signed the consent forms before the instrument assessment. The instruments were conducted via Google Forms in Malay and English language, and the questionnaire was translated by forward and backward translation. For the content validity index, 4 Likert scale was used. 1, representing the item is not relevant to the measured domain. 2, the item is somewhat relevant to the measured domain. 3, the item is quite relevant to the measured domain. And 4, the item is highly relevant to the measured domain. This is a socio-demographic participant for content validity index. Table 2 shows the demographic of participant for validity face validity index, with which involves 10 participants. Majority of the participants were male with degree education level, and mostly the participants were officers and assistants with different expertise background. For socio-demographic of pilot study, 30 participants were involved, with majority of the participants were male with certificate and degree holders, and majority of them were officers and assistants. Table 4 shows the proportion relevant for each expert. The lowest proportion of relevant was from expert 6 and 7 with 0.5 ICVI value. The scale level content validity index based on the average method was 0.98 and the universal agreement method was 0.87, whereby table 5 shows the overall of ICVI and average and universal agreement for each domain. For all items, the CVI value was 0.98 and the universal agreement index was 0.87. The domain indoor air quality was found to be the lowest ICVI index value at 0.89 with universal agreement value at 0.5. Whereby table 6 shows the proportion of clarity and comprehension for each respondent. The lowest proportion of clarity and comprehension was from the respondent 5 with 0.56 IFVI value. The scale level content validity index based on the average method was 0.85 and the universal agreement method was 0.33. Whereby table 7 shows the overall CVI value, average, and universal agreement for each domain. For all items, the CVI value was 0.85, and the average index was also 0.85 with universal agreement index 0.33. The domain air quality was found to be the lowest with 0.38 index with universal agreement. There were 2 domains with score 0, which was the indoor air quality and business communication. Both domains were revised and reassessed and summarized in table 8. Based on table 8, 16 domains were identified with acceptable result. The assessment provided reliable evidence in evaluating industrial preparedness. Our result shows valid item with acceptable and reliable content with 16 domains contained in the questionnaire. In summary, the questionnaire to respondents about the industrial preparedness of infectious disease have gone through a rigorous process to ensure that all the collected data are valid. It also could be understood that the term of readability and comprehension by looking at the result of the pilot study, whereby 125 domain of Chromebook alpha values of 0.98 are at the rate of acceptable. Hence, the validation of the Malay version of the questionnaire was a success. Thank you so much. That's all from me.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nora Mira, about the validation of Malaysian questionnaire about industry preparedness for COVID-19. Let me open the floor for discussion if there is anyone who has any questions to raise from this presentation about industry preparedness for infectious diseases. Yep. Someone is raising a question. Cannot hear you. So it doesn't look like a question is coming. I just have a small question here. Now you are mainly titling this as industrial preparedness for infectious diseases, but I heard you talking a lot about COVID-19. Am I right? You were focusing on COVID-19. Yeah, but now the point is now COVID-19 is 2019. Now we are 25, and COVID-19 is not around anymore, is it? So how important is it to have an industry preparedness to deal with COVID-19 and having a questionnaire to address those issues?
Okay, thank you for the question. Prof, can you mute for a while? Okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay, this study was conducted during the COVID-19 pandemic. So the development of this questionnaire would help Malaysia to prepare for the next pandemic or endemic infectious disease in future in case if the same or similar pandemic will occur in the future. We have a baseline, we have already a standardized questionnaire that we can use for the industrial preparedness at the workplace. So it could be a guideline. It could be a guideline for the next pandemic or endemic to prepare the nation for the next infectious disease outbreak.
I think it makes sense. Although COVID-19 is not around, you don't know when the next pandemic is going to hit. So yeah, better be prepared with a questionnaire so immediately you will get on to action. Yeah, makes sense. So the Malaysian questionnaire is valid. That's what he said.
Okay.
And there is no need for any more changes. Right?
Okay,
yep.
yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for preparing the industry for the next pandemic. Fantastic. Let's move on to the next presenter. KTE 001 Junkai. Junkai Pan, it's your turn to present. Pan Junkai. Yes, thank you.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm here. Yes, I am Pan Junkai, and my topic. Sorry. Okay. My topic is about games. Is research gamification use commercial video games to explore Chinese traditional art. And my introduction is consisted of 6 parts. Now I will summarize. At first, I talk about how digital platforms like video games are starting to mix the real world with the virtual world. Because nowadays, digital technology is no longer just something separate from reality. It's becoming part of our everyday lives. And today we can see video games have already been used for serious purpose, like education, training, and research. commercial video games today have a very strong cultural and educational role, not only for entertainment. This is concept of post-digital games, which means commercial games are going far beyond play. And the famous Chinese art scholar Deng Qiyao indicates that it is important to find new digital ways to study Chinese traditional art. Some scholars indicate one way to do this is by using digital tools like simulation technology, environment, or digital games. But there is still not enough research or strategies on how commercial games can be used for researching Chinese traditional art. So to address this gap, I use a systematic review to look at how commercial games can carry knowledge and culture. My aim is to propose a framework to assess how useful commercial games could be a useful tool for researching Chinese art, and develop a model showing how researchers can learn about art through gaming. And next part is my literature review. The first part is commercial game and knowledge. Today, as virtual technology keeps getting better, games are starting to show cultural and scientific values. And second part is the use of Chinese art in video games and their commercialization. Many Chinese local games now incorporate traditional Chinese art, like game settings, architectures, buildings, costumes, music, or some storyline. This trend is dramatically growing in China and is showing how games can help transfer and promote traditional culture. And third part is 3D modeling as a scientific research tool. And now 3D modeling in commercial games becoming a valuable research tool. 3D models are being used to study things like ancient artifacts and architecture in ways that help researchers understand them better. And four is ludology. In this section, scholars have indicated that players can explore, investigate, or even learn in ways that go beyond the typical game goals, that is, win or lose. And the next part is my methodology. I use a systematic literature review. My database includes Google Scholar, Web of Science Scopes, and the CNKI, and the search keyword is like game, art, research, method, involvement, framework, and culture. And the IC and EC is in my PPT. And next part is my findings. The first goal of my study is to develop an analytic framework that helps understand how commercial games can be used as a tool for researching traditional Chinese art. The proposed framework combines two extinct frameworks. One from Zhao and Wang indicates at 2024, and another from the Crapity 2017. Now I will summarize key points of this framework. The first is the capability. This refers to two main things: how well the researcher knows and understands the game media, and how familiar they are with Chinese traditional art studies. And the second is research purpose. Before jumping into the games, researchers need to clearly know what they want to study. For example, comparing sculptures from the Tang and Song dynasties, or analyzing the symbols in traditional architecture. And the next is simulation. Simulation is about the different ways games use technology to create realistic elements like 3D models of buildings, cultural artifacts, clothing, characters, and even changes in the weather or lighting. And next is interaction. This is about the researchers engage with the game. More interactive the game is, the more data and the more information the researchers can get. And next is the knowledge transfer. Once the researcher has gathered information like visuals, sounds, and tests by gaming, they use their existing knowledge and combine it with other research methods to analyze and make conclusions that help answer research question. Next is the complementary research methods. So my view is to keep the research accurate, researchers should use additional methods like interviews, literature reviews, case studies, or ethnography alongside game research. And next is the feedback and the validation. After use other research methods, the researchers can update their knowledge system. The game provides a space to test and validate their findings, ensuring their conclusion and makes them reliable. And the final is the outcome. The final outcome is insights or conclusions the researchers gains by gaming, such as analysis of art process, creative practice related to the traditional Chinese art. Okay, and the next findings is my research involvement model. So in my study, this model explains how users engage in research using commercial games. This model is based on the player involvement model by Kelgar and the game knowledge framework by Zhao and Wang. Each involvement way is connected to a specific research purpose. The first is spatial involvement. Now commercial games create detailed environment filled with visual and sound elements like characters, buildings, music, and natural places. Researchers can use in-game tools like in-game photography, lighting changes, or some demonstrations and the cross-media tools to observe, analyze, and build a knowledge network. Second is narrative involvement. This involves the researcher diving into the game story and plot, which communicate knowledge and values. Through a role play, researchers experience the game's narrative, its beginning, middle, and the end, and explore the different perspectives and the layers of meaning within the story. And the last one is affective involvement. This type of involvement is about the emotional connection between user and interaction. The emotional participation helps researchers understand the characters' behaviors, values, and moral choice on a deeper level. And the next is a discussion. The proposed analytic framework suggests that researchers need to be well-versed in both video games and art studies to make the most out of the commercial games as research tools. If not, it can hinder the research process. And the game's information needs to be accurate and reliable so that the researcher can interactive elements of a game can support research. For examples, can user explore the subject from different angles visually, or are there in-game tools for analyzing data? These factors influence on how scientifically useful a commercial game could be. My study also argues that games should not be the only tool used in research. A mix of digital and traditional research methods should be used to produce more reliable results. And turn to the research involvement model, spatial involvement that users look at the physical form and the context of art, like paintings, sculptures, or architectures. And the narrative involvement helps users understand the background and the relationships in Chinese art history. The final one, affective involvement, helps users understand how artists, their communities, and their cultural context in ancient China all connect. And the conclusion, this study creates an analytic framework for using commercial games as a research tool for studying traditional Chinese art and a model for how researchers get involved with the game. It shows how the scientific value of commercial games depends on factors and shows 3 types of involvement help users achieve their research goals. But however, a limitation of the study is that my study only relies only on a literature review without case studies or real-world examples to further test the reliability of my study. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you, doctor. Thank you, everyone.
Very much, Panjinghai for that very interesting study, which is a novel idea, by the way, employing video games to understand traditional traditional Chinese art. Things are far apart from each other, isn't it? Particularly video games are not supposed to be research tools, and it's a very interesting thing to try and see how that can be used. But you mentioned serious limitations to this because, like you said, a person who wants to use video games to understand traditional art will have to be familiar with both video games and traditional art to a great extent. And I'm not sure if there are a lot of people who would be in that sort of category. You know, those who are in traditional art are very humanistic oriented, whereas those who are into video games and things are very technologically oriented, isn't it? Would it be possible to find those who have both those areas of expertise together in one go? What do you think?
Yes, I think, I mean, maybe, sorry. Yes, I think maybe most of the
Please go ahead.
Yes, game skill. The game skills need to be training because I think maybe most of scholars don't know how to play video games. Yeah, I think this needs training. And in the future, I will find more gamer, and they are also the scholars to train them and do some interview to make some both qualitative and quantitative research.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So you are saying that it's not exclusive video game involvement that can actually be used. You need to have multiple methods to explore them. And my point really is it's very hard to find because the orientations are too different. For those who are going into traditional art, will be very, very, very differently focused than.
Yes. Yes. So this study maybe need a long way to go.
Yeah. The possibility is difficult to be judged. As you said, you haven't done any case studies of anyone who has done that or any particular study that has done it. But the idea is very, very important and valid to see how it can be used. Now, my small other question is, you are saying in the traditional, in the commercial video games, traditional arts are represented, is it? Interpreted and presented, and
yes.
Those are the ones that could be analyzed. But then the presentation or interpretation is done by someone who's producing the game, isn't it?
Yes. Nowadays, modern commercial games, the 3D modeling is very realistic in now 3D games. For example, the Assassin's Creed, the Black Myth Wukong in China. Yeah, and we can see there are many articles in China. They research.
Seems like
they are.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yep. Okay.
Thank
you very much. Thank you very much for that very interesting study.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you.
Next presenter, LHE002, Sangamitra Dal.
Hi.
Hi, Sangamitra. Over to you.
I just want to share the slide. Can the previous presenter close his screen? Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to present today our ongoing research. I'm Dr. Sangamitra Dal, and this particular project has been run along with my colleagues, Mrs. Norella Ismail, Dr. Siti Normala Hamza, Dr. Israina Muhammad Idris, and Mrs. Siti Zubaida. We are all from University Technology Mara, Malaysia, and also with Dr. Berita Membara Nehe from University Setiabudi, Rangkas Bitung. The topic today that we will be talking about is culinary heritage and cultural sustainability, KMITL among the Javanese Malaysians. The study explores how cultural sustainability can be fostered through culinary heritage, focusing on an almost extinct traditional cassava flour dish of Javanese Malaysians, KMITL. Malaysian multiculturalism is rich with diverse customs and traditions practiced by various ethnic groups, and one of these prominent communities, the Javanese Malaysians, has greatly influenced the Malays' everyday habits and rituals, ceremonies and observances, including culinary styles. However, sustaining and disseminating traditional culture and heritage is a challenge in these times. Culinary heritage preserves cultural diversity for future generations. It plays a vital role in shaping identity, strengthening social bonds, and sustaining cultural heritage of the entire community, especially the migrant communities. Sustainability is a key concept, integral to the 2030 United Nations Agenda. Sustainability is a development that meets the demands of the present without compromising the potential of future generations to meet their own needs. It is also termed a living heritage passed down from generation to generation and contributes to community-based resilience, which can support sustainable development in many ways. Therefore, preserving culinary heritage of the Javanese Malaysians should rightly be aligned with the global sustainability effort. A recent study has claimed that young Malaysians are now so exposed to prepared, packaged, and foreign foods that they have become disinterested in learning and enjoying Malaysian heritage cuisine, mainly traditional sub-ethnic cuisine. Javanese Malaysian culture, especially their culinary traditions, are still under-researched, and these customs and traditions will eventually disappear if it remains to be neglected. Hence, this study is conducted to address these pertinent questions. What cooking practices are associated with Ketiol, and how can the Ketiol cooking practices inculcate cultural sustainability in the Javanese Malaysian community? Cultural sustainability is the preservation of cultural customs and heritage in a way that is consistent with sustainability principles, which includes preserving cultural sites, artifacts, and customs, and maintaining cultural knowledge and skills for posterity. Culinary practices and food heritage involve maintaining traditional food knowledge, local cuisines, and indigenous food systems while adapting to modern societal and environmental changes. By understanding cultural sustainability in food and the importance of maintaining cultural identity, one must find ways to preserve traditional recipes, local food ingredients, and distinctive cooking techniques amidst the threats of globalization and modernization. Javanese Malaysians are a community who are either full or partial Javanese descent who were born in or immigrated to Malaysia. Since they have lived in Malaysia for many generations, their fundamental traits and identity have blended with the larger Malay and Malaysian cultures. However, the Javanese Malaysians strive to sustain their customs and traditions that are commonly practiced back in Java, Indonesia. Javanese cuisine is often associated with the well-known dishes like nasi ambeng, pecel, punteng, and sambal Jawa. While studies have been conducted on nasi ambeng and punteng, not many have examined Ketiol, one of the traditional sweetmeats of the Javanese Malaysians. This qualitative study uses semi-structured interviews of 5 informants with an age range between 40 and 60 years and involves cooking demonstrations conducted within a Malaysian Javanese community in Parit Kampung, Seri Menanti, Batu Pahat, Johor. Findings from communal preparation, consumption, memories, and stories offer insights into cultivating cultural sustainability through culinary traditions, contributing to understanding how food heritage can advance Malaysian multiculturalism and cultural sustainability. The preparation and cooking technique involves peeling the cassava and soaking it for 10 days in water in a covered container until it softens, then sun-drying them until they are dry. The dried cassava is then pounded and sifted so that it becomes flour. This flour is called gaplek. Cassava flour, coarsely grated coconut, water, and salt are mixed and is placed in a container, covering it with banana leaves to create a fragrant aroma and enhance its delicious taste. The mixture is then steamed for 30 minutes. Once it is done, grated coconut is added along with a pinch of salt. For the Javanese community in Johor, Ketiol is not just any other traditional food, but it evokes meaningful nostalgia. Ketiol, which is made from cassava, symbolizes the hardships and struggles of the community before independence. Most informants shared experiences where in the past, rice was categorized as a luxury food and was hard to obtain, therefore making Ketiol an alternative to rice. All the informants agreed that traditional Javanese food, such as Ketiol, should be preserved through knowledge transfer within the family institution. Mothers usually educate their daughters on preparing traditional Javanese food. They also pass down traditional Javanese cooking techniques to their daughters-in-law who are not of Javanese descent so that their grandchildren can continue to enjoy this traditional cuisine. Cooking classes are also being conducted for the younger generation who does not know how to prepare traditional Javanese dishes. It is said that All Javanese share a single culture, referring to their upholding of heritage and tradition all over the world as their life's principal philosophy. Although they have migrated to new places outside of Java, and most of the Javanese descendants in Malaysia have never set foot in their ancestral homeland, the Javanese customs and culture are still cherished and continue to be passed down to this day. In Kampung Seri Menanti, the Javanese Malaysian community has brought the Javanese culture alive in their daily life, resulting in the assimilation and acculturation of cultures within the local community. Today, ketol may no longer be an alternative to rice. However, this dish is still appreciated. There is now the option to buy ketol flour or gaplek flour, which makes the preparation of ketol much easier. Food stalls and bazaars at night markets also sell ketol, making it more accessible to all Malaysians, regardless of race or ethnicity. Ketol, as a symbol of Javanese culinary heritage, reflects a dynamic relationship between tradition and modernization. This study shows that the practice of sharing communal food and storytelling helps maintaining cultural identity of the Javanese Malaysian community. To preserve such culinary heritage, initiatives such as systematic documentation, cooking workshops, and community-based programs should be encouraged. Collaboration between government and private agencies, local communities, and policymakers can further support traditional food practices. Awareness through education and digital platforms can also increase the appreciation of traditional Javanese food among the younger generation. Thus, protecting food heritage contributes to more exhaustive cultural sustainability efforts, strengthening Malaysia's diverse cultural characteristics while preserving Javanese Malaysian culinary traditions. These are our references, and we also like to thank University Technology Maharaja Cawangan Selangor for funding this project under grant DAX-KK, and to all the informants who participated in this study. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Sanghamitra, for that very interesting study about the preservation of culture in the Javanese community. And you brought us descriptions about particular kind of sweetmeat, which you call ketewal, made from cassava. It's a very interesting study and a very relevant one as well. But I was just wondering, how did this sweetmeat become an alternative to rice? You said that at one point in history.
No, the sweetmeat has not been because. Could you please mute your microphone? Sorry. Oh, okay. No, the sweetmeat has not become alternative to rice. The ketol itself, the ketol is an all-purpose dish at that time. They use the leaves as salad. They use the tubers as some sort of snacks. And ketol is a kind of delicacy that they sometimes prepare for special occasions. Otherwise, the cassava flour has been used as an alternative to rice, which they are not using anymore, obviously. But now they are only continuing the tradition of the sweetmeat because it is a special dish.
All right, it's clear. It's clear. Yeah, thank you. Are there lots of other food like this? Because you were simply talking about culinary food. There are many other.
Yes, of course. We are actually, because today we are only presenting only one dish, but we have collected other dishes as well in different communities.
That's great. Yeah. So you're going to bring them all together and
yeah, it is. We are trying to make a comprehensive documentation.
Thank you very much. That's a very good contribution to knowledge about the historical, because those things are disappearing. Right?
Exactly.
Thank you very much for that very beautiful and excellent.
Bye.
Right. We move on to the next presenter, who is Yin Ikai. Yin. So over to you.
Hello. Can you see it? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yes. Okay. I am delighted to present my research on the cultural interpretation of dream imagery in contemporary Chinese theater, Guangxi case studies. This study explores how dream imagery is used in modern Chinese drama, particularly in the context of Guangxi and its profound cultural significance. Let's start with the background of the study. Dream imagery has a long history in Chinese drama, evolving from ancient Buddhist philosophy to modern cross-cultural performances. It has been widely used to reveal characters' inner desires and fears, and to create a sense of visual reality and enrich storytelling through symbolic elements and modern visual techniques, creating a unique aesthetic experience. For audience perception, dream imagery evokes strong emotional responses and promotes audiences to reflect on their own lives. The literature review outlines existing research findings on the dream imagery, include these key areas. The first one, historical evolution. From the Tang Dynasty to contemporary works like Yuan Dream, a powerful tool for narrative development and aesthetic exploration. The second one, global perspective. Globally, dream imagery is used in various theoretical traditions from Japanese non to Western modern drama, reflecting human exploration of consciousness here and existing issues. The third one, theoretical framework. We explore multiple theoretical framework, including existentialism, phenomenon, and psychoanalysis, to understand the role of dream imagery in art. The last one, culture interpretation, artistic impact. Dream imagery not only enhances narrative depth, but also serves as a bridge for cultural dialogue, exploring themes like personal identity and historical memory. Now let's dive deeper into our research objectives. Our research aimed to answer several key questions. How does dream imagery impact contemporary Chinese drama in Guangxi? How does it interpret and reflect Guangxi's cultural identity through narrative and visual techniques? How can we construct a new conceptual framework for analyzing dream imagery in modern drama? Our objectives are to explore the artistic impact of dream imagery, examine its role in culture interpretation, and propose a new framework for future research. We adopted a qualitative approach, including semi-structured intervals, observations, and document coding, through purpose simplifying to analyze cultural norms, values, and traditions, and shape artistic exploration and audience interpretation. Finally, evoking strong emotional responses and personal reflection and gain the research outcome. Now let's look at the case studies we selected to explore this theme's future. Staged at Guangxi Culture and Art Center, the selected play dreams of red mansions use traditional images like collapsed walls and withered flowers to symbolize the decline of Jia Mansion. It combines soft lighting and modern sound effect to create a surreal atmosphere. Presented at Nanning's People Theatre, displayed the Peach Blossom Fan, integrates dream imagery into key plots, symbolizing the decline of Ming Dynasty and the impermanence of personal law. The dream scenes are distinguished from reality through lighting and sound design. For the Lore of the Sea, produced by Guilin Theatre, display uses poetic language and rich symbolism to explore characters, subconscious fears, and desires. The dream sequences are enhanced by soft lighting and a blend of traditional and modern sound effect. Adapted from the Liuzhou Culture Center, Journey to the West use vivid symbolic language to explore characters' inner conflicts and spiritual journeys. Sun Wukong's dreams reflect his transformation from rebellion to spiritual awakening. These case studies provide a rich ground for analyzing the application of dream imagery in contemporary Chinese drama. Findings. Now I will talk about the dream imagery in 4 places. Dream of White Mansions, the Peach Blossom Fan, the Laurel of the Sea, and the Journey to the West. In Dream of White Mansions, dream imagery like collapsed wall and the withered flowers symbolize the Jia family decline. Soft lighting and a mix of traditional and modern sound effects create a surreal atmosphere, depending the narrative and the audience engagement. The Peach Blossom Fan integrates dream into the plot. Paul Wu Fan's dream of a collapsing peach garden symbolized lost love and the Ming Dynasty fate. Soft lighting and blended sound effects distinguish dreams from reality, enhancing emotional impact. In The Laurel of the Sea, characters walk on water and waves turn into scattered glass, symbolizing fragile hope. Poetic language and the rich symbolism explores subconscious fear and desires, making the story more coherent and culturally resonant. Journey to the West used dream to solve Sun Wukong's inner conflicts and spiritual journey. His dream reflects his traditional from rebelling to awakening, vivid symbols and seamless integration into the narrative drive character development. In summary, these plays show how dream imagery in Guangxi theater depends narratives, enhances emotions, and reflect culture significance, bridging traditional and modernity. In Guangxi's drama works, dream image have become an important element deeply rooted in cultural narratives, and the combination with traditional not only presents the cultural heritage of Chinese drama, but also enhance the emotional depth of the works. Combining local culture elements with modern visual and technical elements, such as folklore and aesthetic style, stations local culture identity, and enables the works to attract both local and national audiences. It also serves as a careful of social and cultural dialogue, exploring themes such as political conflict, historical memory, and personal identity. Guangxi unique multicultural and historical background has profoundly influenced the use of dream imagery, making it an important means of reflecting local cultural identity. In conclusion, our research has shown that dream imagery is a powerful tool in contemporary Chinese drama. It may merge sensory immersion through visual and audio technology, non-linear narratives, and cross-cultural symbols to explore psychological and social themes. It blends traditional elements with modern tech, evokes subconscious emotions, and invites intellectual reflection, ranging personal and universal resources, and with challenging audience to reinterpret reality. Thank you for your attention. I hope this presentation has provided with valuable insights into the culture interpretation of dream imagery in contemporary Chinese theater. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Jin. This is a very interesting study of a very unusual happening, unusual phenomena, if I so. Thank you for bringing this to the greater world for us to understand what exactly goes on. Chinese theater. I'm not sure if there is anyone in the audience who wants to raise any questions before I ask. Is there anyone? No, there isn't anything. To begin with, have there been previous What exactly is dream imagery, by the way? I mean, is it images that people conceptualize in their minds in dreams? Is that what dream imagery mean? What is dream imagery?
Because dreams are elaboration and strange. Our dreams are a reflection of human nature and the conscious. It can appear to be like thoughts of the character and show them with wonderful and kind way. Can bring out the visible static and cross the audience thinking. Oh, a strong echo. Sorry, that's my answer. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you are clear now. You are clear now.
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Please go ahead.
Yes, I'll answer your question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you very much for the clarification. Now, the artists, theater artists, have access to dream imagery of different individuals, or how do they get these imageries into the theater? You showed the sophisticated nature of the dream imagery from your study, having intellectual background, symbolism, and so on and so forth. But how do the artists actually get access to the dream imagery in the first place? How do
Because
they
dream.
produce? Yeah, whose dreams are these?
Oh, okay. Characters. Characters. Yes, characters.
So these are characters. Now you showed a number of different images of dream imagery, and I was looking at them. They're very unusual kind of collections of objects, colors, shapes, and materials, and so on and so forth. And I was curious, where would the artists who are producing the theater get access to the dream imagery? Where do they get it from? It wasn't clear from what you were saying in the presentation.
Oh, readers can understand the concept of imagery in surrealism technique, and through the interviews and the research, people can understand the current audience and insiders this technique, and finally how to use this technique in practical creation. Yes.
All right, I think it's clear now. It's clear. Yeah. Thank you very much for that clarification. Thank you very much for this lovely, very good piece of research, and very novel.
Thank you.
Last presenter, FEEE0, Mina Zhu.
Excuse me, can you hear my?
We can hear you and we can see you. Please go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me today at the 30th Asia Conference in Environment-Behaviour Studies. My name is Nina Zhu, and my co-authors Ku and Mo from the Faculty of Human Ecology, UPM, and Henan University, China. Today, I will present our research on the digital divide among elderly users in post-COVID China and how it affects their use of online government services. Okay, let's begin with our title. Digital divide, elderly users in post-COVID China. Our study focuses on understanding why older adults continue to use or sometimes do not use online government services after the COVID-19 pandemic. And China is facing a rapid increase in its aging population. More than 20% of citizens are over 60 years old. At the same time, the pandemic has punished many services online. However, many adult people still that affect old people's continued use of online services. And second, provide clear policy recommendations to improve digital in cloud for the e-government. And we based our study on the well-known Dayaratne and Merkley model, which focus on system quality, information quality, and service quality. We explained this model by using factors, easy of access, and family community support. This helps us better understand how elderly users interact with online. And our literature review shows that the digital divide is not just about having a device or internet skills. It also involves trust in the system and social support from family and community. For our research, we used, this is my methodology. For our research, we use a mixed methods approach. We surveyed 600 elderly participants aged 16 to 85. We also conducted 30 in-depth interviews. And this combination allowed us to gather both broad statistical data and personal experience from different regions. And finally, our findings show that the use of online government services is higher in urban areas, about 17% compared to rural areas, around 15%. The most popular services among the elderly are social security inquiries and medicine appointment bookings. Those results suggest that while online services are being adopted, but there is still a clear gap. And discussion, assembly and friendly platform design is crucial. And easy access, meaning a smooth online and offline connection, helps increase usage. And family and community support play a strong role in encouraging the elderly to use digital services. And this means that technical improvements must be combined with social and policy support to truly bridging the digital divide. And this is recommendations. In conclusion, to help more elderly people use online government services, we recommendations that for government provide equipment, services, and create programs that link offline and support with online services. And for platform, simplify the interface to make it easier to use. For community, encourage mutual learning and volunteer assistance. And for future research, deep learning, term training, and evaluation models, those recommendations are designed to address technical, social, and policy aspects all at once. And thank you very much for listening to my presentation. I hope our research offers valuable insights into reduce the digital divide for all the adults in Thailand. And I'm happy to answer any question you may have.
Thank you very much, Nina. I will open the floor for discussion. If anyone has any questions from Nina about the elderly use of internet, digital technologies for contemporary living. Anyone who has any questions? Does it look like any questions? Yes, please. Anyone? No. Well, if there is no any questions, I will have a small question from you, Nina. The issue is very important and relevant, as you were rightly putting out, because the more and more activities of the world are now becoming digitally operated, and the elderly who are not actually conversant and literate about digital world are suffering from those circumstances. So it is good to know what and how you can facilitate the elderly in terms of how to facilitate them to access the government services and so on and so forth. And you rightly showed that most of the inquiries are related to health, medical checkups, and other government services. Yeah, that's good. That's a very interesting finding. And thank you for that contribution to the understanding about the digital divide in the modern world. I think that's the same situation everywhere in the world as well, not just in Malaysia. Right. I think we have now come to the end of our session with lots of different ideas being discussed. We looked at post-depression among the university students, post-stroke hemianopia. We looked at the traditional art and the possibility of used in commercial videos. Then we were looking at tasty food and cultural sustainability of food in Malaysia. Not in Malaysia, actually, and then the contemporary theatre and dream imagery, and finally, the digital divide. Thank you very much for all the presenters who have done wonderful pieces of research, very well focused, well detailed out, well executed, and presented well. So, with those notes, I think I will conclude the session. Thank you very much indeed. Over to you, Yusuf.
Many thanks.
Thank you, Prof.
I'm sorry for any mishap because I was operating from
at least we can see you now. You still got issues with your audio.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see you next time.
Right. By the way, Ranjith, see you in London in August. It's confirmed that our next conference will be in London in August.
Hopefully, yes, we'll see you in London.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks again.
All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, I forgot for this photo shoot. Can everyone switch on their camera? Can the last person download your? The last person can the last presenter switch off your presentation? Who presented the last one? Who was the last presenter?
Nina Zhu.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Nina.
No, that's better. Can everyone switch on their camera? Right? Yeah. I'm taking a still photo now. Right? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you again, Prof. Ranjith.
Yes. See you.
Right.